Hello and welcome to the Trade Ideas Market Recap for Wednesday, December the 17th. My name is Barry Enerson. I'm the moderator of the trading room. This is the address to get into the room, and you can log in with your Facebook or your Twitter account. Ton of stuff to get to today. Today usually is my least favorite day to trade, and that's because it's FOMC day. The minutes get released at 2 p.m. And typically, unless you are quite active in the at the beginning of the market, first hour and a half, typically, you can just snooze until 2 p.m. and then at 2 p.m. You put on your SPY and put on your SPY chart and you see what happens. And today was different, and I guess it's all because oil is still so volatile and it's in the news, so it really didn't matter. People were willing to trade a lot today, and so I had a very active day. Just want to briefly take a look at the SPY, and so here's 2 p.m. Right, here's 2 p.m. right here, and we had a little pop, and then another pop, and a bit of a base, and now we see it's kind of giving up a bit. The market still has another hour and 10 minutes left in it, and I have to see. I'd like to see it hold here anyway, at the base of where it popped from before, but this wasn't that. I mean, look, if you follow these at all, if you follow the SPY at all at 2 p.m., you can see a big candle up, a big candle down, a big candle up, on and on and on until finally it levels out. This was fairly relaxed, to be honest. We're giving it up a little bit, but we haven't seen like a giant red candle come down. Now, of course, that could happen. Who knows? Now, oh boy, a lot to get to, as I say. UPS, first one. Excuse me, UPS. Now, UPS was a trade based on the fact that FDX, Federal Express, released their earnings today, and they weren't good. And so I was looking at UPS as a trade off of FDX, that if FDX would recover, then perhaps UPS would too. I mean, UPS was just a sympathy play. UPS did not release earnings, but obviously they're in the same business. It didn't really turn out that way. UPS kind of did its own thing, but what I did, this is a 5-minute chart. Good, I've got that right. I actually took the trade right here. Now, this is before the market opened. Okay, here is where the market opened, but I decided to take the trade UPS at 108.50, and hi, sorry, just put it on pause for a second there. Yeah, I took the trade at 925, so just before the market opened. And I sold it immediately, almost immediately, right here at 108.82. So from 108.50 to 108.82, I was hoping for a lot more. Obviously, was looking on a price on a stock this price. I was hoping for maybe a multi-dollar move. Just didn't get it. I mean, if you look at FDX, FDX had, some really big moves in the pre-market. Let me just, you can see here, here's where it dropped, came down, and then had a nice move up here, a little bit of a pullback, and a nice move here, and then a drop. But UPS really didn't do that. It wasn't quite as dramatic as FDX, and I guess to be expected. It didn't release earnings or anything like that. So why should it? Um, I did get back into UPS later on. I'm sorry, I sold half at 108.82 and the other half at 108.60 just before this red candle came crashing down on me. And then we had the big pullback. And now, if you look here, this is almost like there's a triple bottom right there on a 5-minute chart. One, two, three. And it was just breaking over the whole number. So, a lot of us in the room thought that maybe this could really kickstart it. Had a nice base here, 106.72. And so I got into the trade at 107.03. It made it up to 107.47, but I was long gone. At that point, I was out here at 107.18 as it came down. I was shouldn't say I was long gone. I was still in it, but what I was hoping for was now like a dollar, a $2 move. It just didn't happen. So 15 cents on $107 is nothing. But anyway, that was my early trade. Certainly a pre-market trade, which I don't normally do. Now the next one was RSX, and this is the oh shoot, and I don't have it marked for some reason. Let me see here. Just going to pause it for. Hi, sorry about that. Well, reason I didn't have RSX marked up is it was RUSL. This was the Russian. This is the ETF, the three times ETF for the Russian market, and this is why I had RUSL. But anyway, um, what happened is that, of course, we are watching. The other one is RUSS. And this has had like I mean, can you look, if I bring up the daily on RUSS, this hit a high. I think I'm not even sure that's correct. I think it was even higher in the pre-market, but even if it wasn't, 65.19 all the way, it's almost cut in half. And this is, these are these three-time ETFs. And of course, excuse me, the reason this was rising is because this is, you're betting against the Russian market and with the devaluation of the ruble and oil going excuse me, oil going down, causing all sorts of problems for Russia, etc. So this is why this was going up. But eventually, things turn around, and that's when you will can go into this particular. Now, here's the daily. You can see how it has collapsed, but now it's having a bit of a recovery, and people are starting to perhaps bet that maybe the ruble will recover, or even if it doesn't, again, these are just day trades, and you hop on it when, things are starting to look a little more optimistic. And so a lot in the room were taking it right around there. And I have to give a shout out to Paul because, I think he took a pretty big position right here. So I started watching it, and when it broke, on this bar here, I decided I was going to get into it. It just looked too juicy. And so I got in at 294 and I exited here at 313. Now you can see that it's still up, but it is volatile. And again, with any one of these three-time ETFs, you really have to watch yourself. I mean, look at our USS in one day. Again, just to reiterate that our USS. I mean, look what happened in one day on this because it. Sorry, my mouse is okay. In one day, 65.47 high, all the way down to 36. So I mean, these things can collapse on you. So even though they look juicy, you've really got to pay attention to them. Now TS. Now TS I am out of again, and let me get the 5-minute chart. TS. Now I wonder if it's going to show up here because yeah, it's not going to. Now this is on the 5-day swing strategy, and it's not going to show up here. If I did a history, and I had to do another reboot, and it should show up. Please don't make a liar out of me. Here we go, TS. Okay, at 29.68. Excuse me. So this is on the 5-day swing strategy, but of course, what I'm doing most of the time with these is day trading them if they present a good pattern. So again, it came in at I think 29.68. Took a little drop down here, so the alert would have been there. Took a little drop, and on right here, I took the trade at 29.66. Excuse me, I got out half at 29.89, and I took out the other half at 29.76. So not a bad little trade, even though again, in theory, I'm supposed to hold this for 5 days. Now, I decided to get back in the trade here at 30.10. And I was toying with the idea of holding it for the 5 days, or at least more of a swing, see what would happen tomorrow. And it popped up here, and then it had, a slow trickle down here. Actually made it right to 30, and I was really thinking about getting rid of it. But here's where the SPY popped, and it got up here, and as it started coming down again, I know I didn't post it in the room, but I exited right here at 30.20. So from 30.10 to 30.20. So no great shakes. I will keep taking a look at this though, because again, the original alert was down in this area as a 5-day swing. So if it doesn't go below that, I will continue to take a look at it and see what happens tomorrow. Okay, it's TS. Oh, here's a crazy one. Excuse me. Sorry, I got a bit of catch in my throat here. PE. Now, PE actually was one that Paul alerted us to, and he shorted it, I think, up here, made it down here. And so I was watching this one just to see what would happen. And I was actually thinking about putting in a trade for PE. And I think up here is when I was looking at it, and I accidentally forgot to not erase my order. And at so what happened is at $14, I must say I hit the enter key, and I actually had the trade. It was only by looking at my brokerage account that I saw, hey, wait a minute, why do I have PE? Well, sometimes, these mistakes can turn out great because here I am at 14. I decided to exit at 14.20, half of it just in case, it did one of these again. And then it just went right up here got as high as 14.61, and I ended up selling at 14.51. So a great trade, a mistake, absolutely a mistake. Though, I mean, I could have taken it here, and actually it was right here. It was right here and then it pulled back. And I guess when it was right here and started pulling back, I decided not to take the trade and wanted to see what would happen at 14. And evidently, again, I've done this from time to time, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't when you make a mistake like this. But this one definitely worked. Now, air is one I just want to briefly talk about. Air is one that I got into yesterday. Again, it was on the swing strategy, and I think I have to move it back just a little bit to show you where yeah, here's my entry yesterday at 27.45, and I finally decided to exit it at 28.08 today. And now I see it went down, and I see it's popped up here, but this is pretty spready. It doesn't trade very much, though 200,000 shares for it isn't too bad. Why I got rid of it was because if you look at the daily chart, you can see I've got two spikes right there at 28.56. And so I'm just thinking that maybe this is over now. Now if it could break through here, though it still has a little bit of resistance areas over here, some spotty ones. But this kind of concerned me, and I thought, you know what? On a very spready stock that doesn't trade very much, I decided to just take my gains from 27.45 to 28.08, and absolutely very happy to do that. Now the other one is CLDN. Let's see what it's doing right now. Excuse me. Now on the daily chart, this is one again that last week Dan Merkin, our CEO, came in and mentioned as a potential trade, and I took it at 17.20, and I have sold half at 18.25. This was a couple of days ago, I guess. And he actually popped in the room today just to remind us about this one. And again, I've got it on the daily, put it on the 5-minute chart, and he came in, I think, I'm going to say around right here, right at this price here. And it's popped since then. So I still have half of this, and no reason to get rid of it. I mean, obviously, if it came back down to there's my first sell point, I'd have to consider it. But right now, there's no reason to get rid of it. And let's see. The only other one is maybe you guys are getting some of these alerts. These are these daily, excuse me, or weekly trades. We're going to start sending out, I think we've done two right now, weekly trades. These are, or the weekly, sorry, trade ideas, weekly setup for the week. And they pick one stock. And these are not meant to be day traded, though, I have who knows what I'll do. But these are meant to be held for, it could be a week, several months. It's hard to say. But they've identified this one as being, a good setup. Let's take a look at the daily chart on it. I think it's already starting to turn up. Yeah, I mean their trigger point was I think just a little under 44, might have been 43.50-ish or so, but it's in the email that they sent up. But it's already starting to turn up, and so I've taken a little bit of this. I'm not typically much for holding on to stocks longer than well, longer than a day, but I'll take this one and see what happens. They talk about putting maybe a $2 stop on it, so I guess if it went all the way back down to here, I would get rid of it. So that's it. Very active, gratifying day on FOMC day. They say usually it's not this active. At least I'm not this active, but this was a lot to do. So let's just bring back the cover page. Here again is how to get in. Excuse me. We're starting to get steady 100, 103, 104 traders now in the room. And I think it'll just keep growing because, I think once you reach a critical mass, and I like to think 100 is a critical mass, people start talking and they tell their friends, and we're just going to this room is just going to get bigger and bigger. So I encourage you to come in. If you're watching this video and you're not in the room, I don't know why you're not, because there's lots of trade ideas that are thrown around all day. And I'm certainly not the only one, and there's a lot of great traders in the room. So come on into the room, and I hope to see you in the room tomorrow.